Hi everybody, I wanted to put out this short follow-up video to my last video on December 17th, 100% the rapture. Well, I'm hoping, but anyways, I saw this morning and I've had several commenters that wanted to know what time I thought this would be, and the answer is I don't know, but I saw this morning, and this is just my thinking out loud and educated guess as to when it might be. And the dollar, which represents the door, and as I shown in my video, but I think the door is closing. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So on the YouTube channel, Stefan Burns, who is a geophysicist, he showed these coronal hole openings, which he thought was very unusual. And right away I thought this coronal hole opening looked like a mirror image of the Hebrew fourth letter, the Dalet, which represents the door. So this is the closest image I could get from his footage for December 15th at approximately 4 a.m. UTC time, and again later in the clip on 16 December at approximately 4 a.m. UTC. So I wanted to see how much rotation it takes the sun 28 days to rotate around to the exact same position, but you can see that from here to here it's moved slightly more towards the right, which is the direction of its rotation. So on the left image here, I superimposed the two images so that I could see the distance that it rotated from in the 24-hour period of time. I put a scale down here and put it at about the same features, so it rotated about this amount in 24 hours. So that was from the 15th through the 16th of December at 400 UTC. So then I made an outline of this image and then put the scale down here again at the same feature point. And so you can see 24 hours later, which would be December 17th at 400 UTC this morning, and then another 24 hours, which would be December 18th at 4 a.m., and then another half a day, which I'll show in the next slide, which would put it at December 18th at 1600 hours UTC, but in Jerusalem that would be UTC plus 3, so approximately around dusk in Jerusalem. So as I put on my community post this morning, I said that this coronal hole opening, which he dubbed as the solar dark scar, opens up on the sun's surface on the corona. It's a mirror image of the fourth Hebrew letter, the Dalet, which represents the door, as I just stated. But what is geographically seen or written on the earth is a reflection of what is seen in heaven. So for example, this is the Pleiades star constellation, and then here are the 7 churches in the book of Revelation, you can see that the geographic earth locations of the 7 churches in the book of Revelation is a mirror image of the Pleiades star constellation in the heavens. So likewise, with the Dalet, this is seen in the heaven with the sun. It is then on earth, it would be a mirror image of this, which is the Dalet, or the number 7, as someone said, or the door. So as I stated earlier, as best as I could get, the sun rotates this way, and it takes 28 days to complete one full revolution. So this was approximately December 15th at 4 UTC, and then here was a snapshot of it, December 16th at 4 a.m. UTC. So highlighted in green, this is the approximate location of that coronal hole opening or scar at 1900 UTC in Jerusalem time, so about dusk. So I think the door closes because it's just outside of the corona on the sun. So I believe this is when the door closes, just like it would on the 5 foolish virgins. So just like with the 5 foolish virgins, so the sun's rotation again from the 15th through the 16th through the 17th approximately through the 18th at 400 UTC, and then 12 hours later it would be just outside of the corona of the sun, that's highlighted again in green, and that would be 12 hours later, so December 17th at 1600 hours UTC, or at 1900 hours UTC plus 3, which would be Jerusalem time. So this would be around the time of dusk. So it's just outside the sun's corona. So the door or the Dalet, I believe, is showing that it's closed at this point. So you might be asking yourself, Carla, you said that the rapture will occur on Wednesday, December 17th, which is today, which is the 4th candle is lit at dusk, and that represents Christ, Dalet, the door, on December 17th, and this is from the Hebcal, so it goes from dusk to dusk. So the start time for Wednesday, December 17th, or the 4th candle in which Christ is in the midst of, starts at dusk in Jerusalem and concludes with the onset of the lighting of the 5th candle, which would be Thursday, December 18th at dusk. So it should occur prior to that, and that time would be at 5:05 p.m. Jerusalem time UTC plus 3, and that's when this coronal scar is outside of the sun's corona. So you might be asking, what does this have to do with the sun? So in Malachi chapter 4, the great day of God, in verse 2, it says, "But to you who fear my name, the sun, S-U-N, of righteousness shall arise with healing in its wings, and its wings are the corona." If you see a solar eclipse, you see the corona shining outside of that. So the Sun of Righteousness, S-U-N, represents the sun, S-O-N, of righteousness. So here's a solar eclipse, the sun being blocked by the moon, and you can see the corona, which is called the wings of righteousness. So this is what I was referring to. So in Malachi 4 verse 2, the coronal wings, this is what it's referring to, because it actually does look like wings coming off of the sun during a solar eclipse. So I would go back and look at my last video that I posted, in which I show that Christ is in the midst of the 7 lampstands during the week of Hanukkah, so that Christ at the December 17th position, that being the 4th Hebrew letter, so 4th over from the left, being the door, being the rapture on December 17th today, but in Jerusalem at dusk. So December 17th again, today, when the candle, the 4th candle, which is Christ in the midst of the menorah, starts at dusk in Jerusalem, which is about 5:05 p.m. UTC +3. So I'm still betting the ranch on that time, and it goes through December 18th at approximately the same time, 5:05 p.m. Jerusalem time, UTC +3. So I'm still betting the ranch on this time period. Anyways, I wanted to put out this quick video. I hope it has been a blessing to you. So we shall see, I think, the time period, if this is indeed correct, which is just my thinking out loud, guessing that the door closes on prior to dusk on the 18th, and that was the position of the sun here, just outside of the corona of the sun, highlighted again in green. Dusk in Jerusalem, 5:05 UTC on December 18th, which is the Hebrew December 17th. So here are the approximate times in the U.S. in which I believe that the door closes. That's just my thinking out loud. So for Eastern Standard Time, it would be 10:05 a.m. on Thursday, December 18th, because that's prior to the lighting of the 5th candle and the end of the 17th day on the Hebrew calendar, in which Christ is in the midst of the Dalet, or the door. So then it would be 9:05 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8:05 a.m. Thursday the 18th Mountain Standard Time, and then 7:05 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday, December 18th, which is the equivalent again of the Hebrew date, December 17th. And so for other parts of the world, I would adjust it to Jerusalem time of 5:05 p.m. UTC +3. So on the Hebrew calendar, December 17th ends at dusk on December 18th, Thursday. So don't be as the 5 foolish virgins in which the door or the Dalet closes on you. I believe that from my thinking out loud, that image of when the sun's coronal scar is outside of the sun's corona, or the surface of the sun, occurs at about 5:05 p.m. UTC plus 3 on December 18th, because it goes from dusk to dusk in Jerusalem for the 17th on the Hebrew calendar. So don't be as the 5 foolish virgins, in which the door shuts on you. And again, this is my thinking out loud and what I think will be the time frame in which the door shuts and the time concludes. So please watch for these times. Although it's the 18th, it's the conclusion of the Hebrew December 17th day at dusk, 5:05 p.m. UTC plus 3 for Jerusalem. And here are the associated times again for the USA, and adjust it for your time period to 5:05 p.m. UTC, wherever you are in the world. And we shall soon see. Like I said, I'm betting the ranch on this. But anyways, I hope this has been a blessing, and I hope to see you in the sky, and take care.